characters in the myths. The following are some of the less important Numina spirits. Faunus, whom the Greeks called Pan, was a prophet who spoke to people in their dreams. He was the king faun who ruled over all the other fauns. Fauns are mythical creatures that live in the woods and mountains. They are half human and half beast. A faun's bottom half looks like a goat, and the top half looks like a man. These creatures also have the horns of a goat. Fauns are the companions of Bacchus, whom the Greeks called Dionysus, the god of grapes. These creatures spend their days dancing and frolicking. The Camini were useful and practical goddesses who cared for springs and wells, cured diseases, and foretold the future. They were also known as the Muses. The Muses were 9 spirits, honored as the protectors of literature, arts, and science. The Romans assigned the following duties to the Muses. Calliope was the muse of epic poetry. Clio was the muse of history. Euterpe was the muse of flutes and lyric poetry. Thalia was the muse of comedy and pastoral poetry. Melpomene was the muse of tragedy. Terpsichore was the muse of dance. Erato was the muse of love poetry. Polyhymnia was the muse of sacred poetry, and Urania was the muse of astronomy. The Lares, as was mentioned before, were the unnamed spirits of good mortals, human beings. These were the spirits of those who had died and now resided in Hades, the underworld. The Limares were the spirits of the wicked who had died. These spirits were greatly feared by the mortals. Then there were the Manes. These were the spirits who were neither all good nor all bad. They interacted with mortals differently, depending on the situation. Quirinus was the name the Romans gave to the spirit of Romulus after his death. Romulus was immortal and the founder of Rome. The Romans told stories in which Romulus was turned into a god. Another one of the Numina was Lucina, who watched over childbirth. The Romans eventually gave this responsibility to the goddess Juno, whom the Greeks called Hera, and Diana, whom the Greeks called Artemis. The Deconsentes are the 12 major gods and goddesses who were honored and worshipped in ancient Rome. The 6 gods are Jupiter, Mars, Neptune, Vulcan, Apollo, and Mercury. The 6 goddesses are Juno, Minerva, Vesta, Ceres, Diana, and Venus. They all lived together on Mount Olympus. The gods would make trips down to earth, sometimes in disguise, to live among mortal people from time to time. Jupiter, whom the Greeks called Zeus, was the son of the Numina Saturn and Ops. Jupiter's parents, among other Numina, once ruled the world, but then the gods on Mount Olympus, led by Jupiter, rose up against them. As the king of the gods, Jupiter was considered one of the most important gods among the Deconsentes. He was known as the god of the sky and thunder. Jupiter was in charge of all the weather. His special power was the ability to change into any shape or form. The Romans called him Optimus Maximus, which means the best and the greatest. Jupiter was worshipped as god of the Roman state in his temple at the Capitoline Hill. He looked after all mortals on earth and was able to tell them what would happen in the future. His priest, a nobleman called Flamen Dialis, was the highest and most important priest. The color white is associated with Jupiter. All those who served Jupiter wore white. White horses drew Jupiter's chariot, and only white animals were sacrificed to him. The largest planet in our solar system is named after Jupiter. Juno, whom the Greeks called Hera, was the queen of heaven and was also considered one of the most important goddesses. Juno was the protector of marriage and childbirth. The month of June was named after Juno and was believed to be the best month for marrying. Juno watched over every female from the moment she was born to the end of her life. After a child was born, the new parents would lay out a table of food and fancy gifts for Juno for a whole week. Women offered sacrifices to the goddess on their birthdays. Juno sometimes was called Moneta and was also the goddess in charge of a household's money.